This is Midnight Alchemy with your host Jason Allen on the Left Coast Media Network. And now here's Jason.
Thank you, my AI overlord. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Midnight Alchemy, and I am your paranormal tour guide into the unknown, Jason Allen. Hey, it's great to be back here with you again. We have got an awesome show, part 2 of Sir Bryan Bowden. We're going to be talking conspiracy theories and all sorts of stuff. So buckle in, folks. It's going to be a bumpy ride. If you have not heard or seen part 1 of the Bryan Bowden interview, I encourage you to get on over to all the major platforms we're on: Spotify, Apple, Podbean, Podomatic, all that stuff. Get up there, or on YouTube, you can check us out too, and get acquainted to Sir Bryan Bowden. Let's get into it right now, right after the spot. Newsbox is a full-service streaming media company that brings you awesome shows like Coffee with Curmudgeons, The Portland Conversations, and Turning Left. Not only does Newsbox bring the entertainment, but they can also help with all your podcast needs. Ever thought that you want to do your own podcast? Well, Newsbox can help with that. We can help with content, presentation, and even a streaming media platform that can get your podcast a worldwide audience. You can reach them at www.newsbox.com or visit them on their Facebook page. Newsbox. Live outside the box.
Who's going for spices? Somebody was looking for a route to India.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was Columbus or it was one of them or
Columbus, ultimately, he wanted to go and find a direct route to Japan and to the east.
Right. So like India and the spices, I think
yes,
it was.
Yeah.
And then he happened to cross like us over here and the Hanos and whatever.
Yeah.
That what people don't realize is, maybe they do, the Knights Templar were very instrumental in that, but they don't teach you that.
Yeah.
That would be a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a great way to figure out a lot of this stuff and where certain groups and organizations came into play. And that mystery of Oak Island
Yes
thing. Well, they talk about that because they're discovering that there were Knights Templars that came over. There's Celtics that came over, the Egyptians, and what they're discovering is the narrative of these people wanted religious freedom, so they went on the Mayflower.
Yeah.
No, I think really what took part was there are select groups in this world that were power brokers.
Mm-hmm.
One of the big ones were the individuals that eventually became Knights Templar. Mm-hmm. And they were charged to go out and spread the gospel. And in the process, they said, well, if we're going to do that, we're going to find the cup of Christ. We're going to find all, the 10 commandments and whatever. Mm-hmm. And they, as a group, were the creators of the banking system in the world.
Yep.
They got so wealthy and so loved. I think that the whole narrative of Robin Hood comes from the Knights Templars, because it's like rob from the rich, give to the poor.
Right.
They were owed so much money by the church and the King of France.
Yep.
And the King of France, like, well, I'm not paying them. Well, then you need to excommunicate them. And that's what they did. They created them as heretics.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jacques de Molay, the head of them, he literally, folks, he was roasted at the spit.
Yeah.
Days. They alive, and they just turned him around.
Mm-hmm.
Kept turning him, and he's burning for days.
Right.
Talk about devotion too, but that's because he was not going. I think they discovered they had a religious experience in the process of a religion. Mm-hmm. Like they really got in touch with what it was. And then at a certain point, I think the birth of this country, the United States, was birthed out of under the guise of the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
are God,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to protect what we know, and that's where the United States came from.
Yeah.
It wasn't they'll use the other thing. It was because of taxation.
Yeah.
Every revolution is because of taxation. So
Right. Yeah.
there's money, if there's sex, money, and rock and roll involved in it, yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it is. Rock and roll back then is like, like flute music,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
But I think the people that started here,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them that came over here from the UK,
Mm-hmm.
are very connected to Freemasonry,
Yeah.
Knights Templar, and all that other stuff. Now, what's really weird is there's so many people now that are like, oh, Freemasons are the Illuminati and they're evil and they're Satan worshipers. No. Every organization has a group of people that bastardizes the actual meaning behind it and does some really messed up stuff with it and uses it for no good.
Yeah.
And the people I know who are Freemasons are God-fearing individuals,
Yeah.
of multiple religions.
Yeah.
They have a bunch of them. It's all about charity and giving back. It's basically community.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a little taste of what your Knights Templars were.
Yeah.
Um, the Knights Templars of today, they put a little bit too much ceremony in it, and I think they lost the way. I go more on the traditional of good versus evil.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the conspiracy of this country is it's based on it's on freedom and liberty, but it's really about preserving place where people can worship, they can take the secrets with them, they won't be persecuted,
Yeah.
and they can make their operations out of that land and make it a better place.
Yeah.
And create a world where there is no hierarchy of
Yeah.
this control and money, and everybody has rights and
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah.
You know,
Hey, when did you think it changed from that ethos into the hijacking of who controls America, who pulls the levers, yada yada yada? Because everything movement or whatever is born at the beginning. It's pure, right? Because you're driven by something. It's an ideology that you want to do something altruistically and pure, but then it morphs into something else. When did you think that something else occurred here in the US?
okay. So what happened? It happened in the 1700s, in my opinion, and it happened because of outside influences. This is when we had the revolution. So we were a small group of people. I don't believe they restricted people based on, religions there were Judeo-Christians religions were here.
Yeah.
I don't think Muslim was here at all, for the most part. I'm almost,
Yeah.
and if it was such a minuscule group.
Yeah, there is evidence that some that came over in the Atlantic slave trade.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, yeah, because of the constant the Moors
yeah,
and stuff. So you got that through the African roots, and some kept it there, but in general, it was Judeo-Christian,
no,
and
yeah, most
eventually,
definitely.
that coexist thing kind of works.
Hmm.
They do their things, I do the, whatever. It's around that time when, and then they got into a bit of slavery. When you start owning people
Yeah.
for power or whatever,
Hmm.
that's when it started. And there was influences coming in to people that were for the crown. No, that's the queen. We're not, no. That's the queen, or that's the king.
Yeah.
That's who we were. And people are like, dude, I work my butt off and I got to give them 90% of my money. I'm not giving them 90% of my money.
Right.
So there's a monetary thing there. It's money, control. There was an English influence from the crown.
Hmm.
There was a French influence because the French wanted to screw the English.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they were like, so this is like what we used to do with Russia, right? So you get that Cold War thing going there. And then what eventually happens is that Cold War spills into a real war.
Yep. Yep.
And that's the moment where, under the guise of freedom, we needed one end of that. So we used the French end of it,
Mhm.
and we've been paying for them ever since.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
bad. Yeah. And that's where it
moving
started.
yeah, moving now into post-Revolutionary War into
Sure.
the 1800s. Of course, I mean, exponential growth. And I think that, to me, that's where a lot of the trouble starts, because within that building process is a certain vacuum that has to be filled by people who want power. They want to control what's going on. That is probably one of the most fundamental of human traits. I want to control what I can control. So
Right.
as the U.S. grows and stuff, can you talk about maybe some of the conspiracy theories? The Mexican American War, as we build up the whole
Well, we're fighting that still.
the whole ethos of manifest destiny, right?
Yeah.
It is America's destiny to rule the continent, to rule, whatever.
Well, yeah. So when we had the 13 colonies, and then we started doing a little bit to the west, and then whatever, there's a whole bunch of land there.
Yeah.
And we kind of we got pretty cocky.
Yeah.
By that time, our military became a real military. We had a real navy,
Yeah.
and we were like, yeah, we're ready to kick some, whatever. But
Yeah.
we weren't global at this point. But so we started moving, and we like, well, this is all ours. We're taking it.
Hmm.
And someone, they would send people in, and they say, well, there's, we're going to use the term Indians. I don't want to go to indigenous people, but Indians there.
Yeah.
Well, the hell with them. Let's start trading with them. And I think initially, the the idea is to trade, like barter.
Yeah.
Hey, well, if it worked for Manhattan Island, got to work for everybody else.
Sure.
Look, I've got this can of Coke, and if you give me Wyoming, it's your, And some
Right.
of it worked, but after a while, we got so arrogant, and we're like, I'm taking what we want.
Hmm.
And the narrative that we slowly moved across is, I think, is the is where the conspiracy started. We didn't slowly do crap. We slaughtered people on the way there.
Yeah.
And some of the, like everything else, like the Gulf of Tonkin, like Pearl Harbor, it's all conspiracy theory, because we didn't know about it.
Yeah.
They had reports of ships coming in.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Right.
So you always need an event or a catalyst to get you into war.
Yeah. Yeah.
Japan doing what it did to the US and us allowing them to do it was the catalyst for war.
Yeah.
How am I going to get in here? I don't want to get into here. We just finished World War freaking One. People are tired of fighting. What if we're attacked?
Yeah.
What's the scary thing? So I remember in my honeymoon in 2000,
Mhm.
we did it in Hawaii, and we did 3 islands: Hawaii, Maui, and Oahu.
Mhm.
And I don't like to fly at all. I think if God wanted us to fly, he'd give us freaking wings. Okay. But that's that, right? So it was weird. And I'm on this plane, and it was less expensive instead of flying. Well, we couldn't fly direct to Hawaii from New York. So what we had to do is we had to go from LA to Hawaii, but
Mhm.
it was less expensive for it. Take a puddle jumper, what they call it, whatever, from New
Yeah.
York to Dulles, in Washington, and then go over.
Yeah.
We get on a plane that's probably a little bit bigger than my Grand Cherokee.
Yeah.
and who's on the plane? But 2 Muslim guys
Yeah.
wearing the robes and blah 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 blah.
Sure.
And we're like, I'm like, this is what's going through my head, because there was the events that took place,
Yeah.
with Jimmy Carter, the World
Yeah.
Trade Center, blah blah blah, the initial bomb and the Muslim and whatever it was,
Mhm.
and all these people, death to America. And I'm like, they're going to take this plane over and they're going to fly it into the damn White House. And I said this, and I remember joking around, like I was half on Dramamine, actually 3/4 on Dramamine, like, oh, the hell with it, I'll just be asleep if they kill us, whatever.
Yeah.
And then fast forward, actually, I was supposed to fly back from my friend's place in Nice, France on 9/11,
Oh boy.
but we had to go a week earlier. Got what it was. We got a discount on the flight, and it was just like everybody, they're like, look, we're tired. We just want to go back. So we flew back a week earlier, or no. It was 4 days before that.
Okay.
4 days before. So I like to give myself a little clearance when I come back from a vacation, just to have a vacation from my vacation.
Right. Right.
And so what happens 9/11? There's a war. There's a whatever happened. And
Yeah.
what was that? That was our catalyst to give us carte blanche to go into X, Y, and Z. The
Sure.
Mexican War, right? Remember the Alamo,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That got us to kill Indians and got us to kill people from Mexico.
Sure.
Then to annex certain parts of Texas and whatever.
Right.
And what's very interesting is if you talk to border agents right now, the people that are coming through the border from Mexico or Mexico, they believe that's no, we have a right to this. This is ours.
Yeah.
They're not going to abide by the law, the rule. Like, you lost this war.
Yeah.
You won. This is our terms, whatever.
Yeah.
And actually, every time they allow these people through the border, they violate that law. I forgot what the treaty was.
Yeah.
And no one does anything about it. But it's all the guys of, well, they came up and they started with us, so we're, it's a bunch of BS. And the BS, and let's start moving closer to current times. The BS is getting thicker and thicker and thicker. And and what they would do is they'd hide it and they glaze it over and like they make it sound plausible, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had to do that. We had to go into this.
Right. Every lie
He gets another one.
that it believes there's always a kernel of truth, and then it just wrapped around whatever narrative you want to.
WMDs.
Yeah.
WMDs there.
Exactly. Exactly. In the first time, at least in our country's history, we stopped going to war with a country and we started going to war with an idea, right? The war on terrorism. It doesn't have borders.
Here's the best part, right?
Yeah.
So it was Schwarzkopf who, one of them, I think it was Schwarzkopf.
Yeah.
They did that whole war, Iraq, whatever. And he was like, let me go in there and finish it. And they said, nope, we're not. Come on, we're right there. We can go in. And he could have finished it the way he wanted to finish it, which was level the whole thing. And I don't know if it was him that said this or someone else. I know he came out and then it was very quickly scrubbed.
Yeah.
And that's what's another thing that's happening right now. And we'll go into that in a second. But someone said, nope, you just leave it because we know they're going to start up stuff again. And we're going to use that as a guys to go back in.
Yeah.
See? So what happens now as we moving the conspiracy theories stuff, there are still a few people in this world that know right from wrong. Or they work their butts off and they're hoping for that raise, but someone else gets the promotion. So they're like, really? Great. I'll tell you what, I'm going to leak your information now. And they're like a way to get back at them. And had they just been taken care of, a lot of stuff wouldn't come out. Look at Edward, like Snowden. He's sitting there and he's hearing all these horrific things these people are doing and the lies. And he knows what he's building and how it affects people's lives. It's going to destroy people. So he gets a conscience and he flips to whatever and he steals all the secrets and they release him. Yeah. And then there are groups that pop up from that. And then you have, which I think it was just Assange Day.
Yeah.
The other day.
Yeah.
Julian Assange, right? Who is like a curious mind
Yeah.
And super smart, very, you know, and through hacking discovers all these things and is releasing very important information. You know, check your food labels. Don't eat anything bioengineered,
Hmm.
you know, and now it becomes the enemy of state. So
Yeah.
what's here's the problem. Remember I talked to you about I looked up in encyclopedias and that's how we did our research. Remember that?
Yeah.
You'd have to pull out. So there's a whole slew of stuff. There are wars all over the place that's going on right now, UK and Russia, and that's a conspiracy theory. That's a one-sided narrative.
Hmm.
All the stuff's controlled. You can't see what's going on in Russia,
Yeah.
and I'm going to tell you you're being lied to because you're 100% being lied to.
Yeah.
And you know, and I have Ukrainian blood in me, and I have Russian blood in me,
Yeah.
both my grandmother's side and my grandfather's side. And I know people from Ukraine, and that I trust very, very well. And they said biggest liars, thieves in the planet has been since the beginning.
Right. One of my
No one ever trusts us.
yeah, one of my most favorite newer movies is Wag the Dog. And I mean it basically goes over all of that, you know. Let's invent a war, you know, let's go to Albania, you know. And so they create an incident where we have to go to war. And you know, the guy played by Robert De Niro starts growing a conscience. Like, hey, you know, I don't know about this. We've taken it a wee too far, you know. But I always,
Yeah.
so when I see stuff that happens in the world and the way it's presented to us, I seem to always go but think back to that movie of how the you know, levels of government decide, well, this is what we're gonna do, or how we're gonna present this. You know.
Well, I don't want to get you in trouble, so I'm going to keep my comments very, very. You're going to get in trouble if I
Oh,
continue.
let's shoot for trouble. I don't care.
No, no, it's um, if you really pay attention to what was going on, Ukraine is the giant money laundering situation.
Hmm.
That's what it is. It's money laundering. It's bio weapons, and the bad guy in the whole entire situation. The bad people in this situation is the U.S. has been bad on this whole entire situation.
Mm.
We are the bad guys.
Mm.
And I'm not saying all of us because we're not aware of what's going on. There are people within our world that are doing things not with your interest in mind, but within certain area of. And if you truly wanted to know if this was truly a conflict of like they're saying, then the New York Times would be reporting from both perspectives,
Yeah.
like they did during World War I and World War II and Vietnam. Blah, 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 blah. There'll
Yeah.
be journalists out there getting interviews with people, and you hear both perspectives. Every news outlet, you can't hear anything from Russia whatsoever.
Hmm.
You have to go and circumvent like half the internet to get to a source that you can actually use.
Sure.
You're being lied to. And just like you've been lied to about fires that have been taking place around this world.
Yeah. Do you also consider
Narrative
that the Maui fire?
that's that is it's a one giant lie.
Yeah.
See oh, we're getting in bad area. So I was talking to you prior to the recording.
Yeah.
Okay. I followed events taking place in Hong Kong and Taiwan.
Yeah.
And I follow them because we need Hong Kong and Taiwan. They're good spots and whatever. There's a lot of our electronics come out from that area.
Hmm.
We have, you know, American kind of control where in our vested interest and a security to be there. We should never have allowed it to be brought back.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it because there are people there fighting for freedom. They know that if the CCP takes control, they're enemies of the state because they think and they act and they're Western, and that won't happen. And they're not going to go under the guise of the CCP. And what's going to happen is the CCP is going to do what it does to everybody. It was going to kill them, or it's going to harvest their organs, and It's really, really bad. The image, what goes on in China right now is they, a very small percentage control all of it,
Right. Oh yeah.
which
Most
is
definitely.
mind boggling. It's a
Y-
microcosm of the world right now. Very small people control everybody. And if the big portion just stood up and said,
right. Yeah.
then we
Yeah.
wouldn't, I'll tell you, the world would be a great place.
Sure.
Okay. But they're,
Yeah.
for some reason, they're starting to do it now, but this is a bunch of years ago. So I'm following, what's going on. And both the Taiwanese and the Hong Kong citizens literally are standing there. Everybody's waving an American flag and they're singing the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see? Like the
Yeah.
Pledge of Allegiance. Okay.
Mhm.
And I think they did the Pledge of Allegiance. How can you not support people like that as an American? So
Right.
I'm kind of keeping an eye on them, kind of supporting them, right? Kind of free Tibet.
Right.
Talk about conspiracy theory. The Dalai
Yeah.
Lama is neither a Dalai nor a Lama, the current one, but that's a different.
Really? Really? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. It's, what else?
We'll put a pin in that one because
Put a pin in that one. And I don't know how much time you have, but so I'm following it, and then I'm going about my business. And something I did, I should have been a doctor at one point. I studied science, I studied physics, I studied astrophysics, always loved medicine, wanted to be a surgeon. I have a lot of family members that are surgeons and doctors and head nurses and in the medical field, and they're like, you need to go. I mean, they could just see something in me, whatever.
Mhm.
Problem is, I don't want to be around sick people. So I really don't. I love healing people or helping people, whatever, but I don't want, I just, I become a germaphobe. I mean, yes, when, trust me, I've probably have grabbed the railing of the subway, ran upstairs, kind of, and got a hot dog and ate it. And who knows what's on my hand, whatever. But I think that builds my immune system
Right.
numerous times. But
Yeah.
now it's like, you want me to go into a hospital where there are sick people and breathe in that air? And I don't want to touch anything. I just want to get out. Right.
Hmm.
I never went into it, but I still studied this stuff. So when I was doing work on business in Wall Street, whatever, I get a ton of emails from all these different white papers and all that stuff, science, and it's just catch up on this stuff.
Yeah.
And as this was going on in Taiwan and Hong Kong, a paper comes in about, could this be the magic bullet? And I start reading it, and it's from Dr. Rob Malone,
Hmm.
and it's about mRNA
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
all the white papers. There is what he released,
Hmm.
and I'm reading. I'm like, oh my god, it started doing. And I'm like, everybody's like, what the hell's going on? You're freaking out. He goes, I think we have I think we just discovered the magic bullet that's going to cure everybody from cancer and from
Yeah.
HIV. Blah, 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 blah. And I start reading, and I'm like reading, I'm like, oh my god. And then all of a sudden, it's like, oh my god, oh my, and I'm starting getting horrified.
Yeah.
And I start reading about it. And basically, what happens is this. I'm just going to give you a summation.
Yep.
You have if you have in your body, there's 4 cancers that you're susceptible to. Okay.
Mhm.
But only 2 of them, what you're potentially going to get, because the other 2 are closed off. Your DNA and your makeup says you have the potential to catch breast cancer and whatever cancer.
Sure.
But the other ones, brain cancer and blah 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 cancer, whatever it is, it's locked away. So your DNA will not trigger that whatsoever. But everybody has all these cancers in their system. Some are triggered and some aren't. That's
Yeah.
basically what it is. What happened is, not only, first of all, the mRNA
Hmm.
totally changes your DNA. The messenger changes it. It goes in there, and they'll tell you, oh, no, it doesn't. It does.
Yeah.
It sends the message in there, and it changes it. It rewrites a certain portion, which then rewrites your DNA.
Right.
Okay.
Hmm.
So you're not the same anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. On top of that, through numerous experiments, after experiment, it's possible to deliver stuff through this way. But every result that he did going through this, all failed. And what happened is, so if you're susceptible to 4 cancers, but two are locked away,
Yeah.
well, the 2 cancers that weren't locked are going to be on super boost at this point. It's going
Oh,
to super boost them.
Yeah.
And then the other 2 that were locked away, the mRNA unlocks them,
Yeah.
and takes those cancers and just, if you think super boost was bad, bazillion boost. And you start growing tumors left and right. And I mean, like, horrific.
Yeah.
Like a mutation, like the Blob movie. It gets, it starts out like a snowball, and then you roll it down the hill or whatever. That's what I'm talking about, but super fast.
Mm-hmm.
Everything died. So I was like, what's it go? I'm like, dude, I thought this was the end all be all, the magic pill.
Yeah.
Dude, no way. Everything died. You don't want to have anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Blah, blah, blah. So I remembered it, when you're doing work on, moving, selling stocks and moving and whatever and putting numbers in, like, wow, that's messed up. I said, I think we're close, but I think, genes is going to be where we're going to get it, genetics, right?
Sure.
And because I think genetic therapy is really what's going to happen, it's going to help us out.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward, just keep that in mind. So I'm reading this white paper. This is 22 years ago, whatever it was, right?
Sure.
And then, so I'm listening to him, and all of a sudden, the people that were protesting in Hong Kong and Taiwan are all getting sick. They're like getting really sick in the flu, and people are dying, and like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they started reporting, and I remember the scientists. I swear, it was like WCBS News Radio 88 or 1010 Wins or something like that out of New York.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, they did that. And the scientists met today about the mystery illness that is affecting people in Hong Kong, blah, 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 Hong Kong. The scientist goes, well, it's like they were having a press conference, but I couldn't see it, because it's interesting because it's very strange, but like flu type of symptoms and whatever. And it wasn't strange because they have bird flu. They get all this crazy stuff out of China.
Yeah.
He goes, but this virus seems to be targeting Pan Asians from A and B, whatever those A and B, I can't remember where it was.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if you look up Pan Asians where A and B was, it was Hong Kong and Taiwan. And it was at that moment I went, holy crap, the Chinese are killing these people. They just targeted these people to death. And then I started following it, and it started spreading. And I think it spread purposely because it was allowed to.
Right.
And I think there are other people involved in it. And
Um,
then
go ahead.
2019, I posted on my Facebook, I said, because I had this virus before it was named anything the year before. I was sick as a dog. They gave me some stuff and I felt better. It took longer than normal.
Sure.
And I wrote, I remember my post, I said, China is about to give the USA the greatest gift of all, manufacturing. And this was in September of 2019. Then my dad died, and then I kind of faded away from that for a little bit. But that's when COVID then popped out about 2020.
Right.
So sorry.
No. When you saw the first story, I'm gonna put that in quotation marks, story about it being released from a lab in China. Was that confirmation to you that okay, this is okay, now it's coming?
No, I already knew it was here.
Yeah.
And then because I had it a year before. I think it was released a year prior. They were testing it.
Okay.
They were letting it go.
Okay.
And then basically what happened is all hell broke loose. And then their explanation for stuff is just so like asinine. I forgot the animal, the pendex or the penderex, or I forgot. It looks like a freaking armadillo. Or it came from that, or it came from a bat, and people eat bats because the wet market is there. Now, don't get me wrong, if you eat some crazy crap, this is how 90% of what is it, Ebola, or what's the other, the plague?
Yeah.
This is how it all starts. Somebody went out and said, in the middle of the, Amazon, I'm going to go eat a monkey brain.
Yeah.
And it always comes from the organ meats.
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And that's because where all the protein, all that stuff is stored, and they eat everything. When you're not in the U.S., people that use product, animals, and they go out and hunt and kill, they will use every piece of the product. I mean, that's what it's there for. We've kind of gotten away from that hunter gatherer, and we get very selective. Like, oh no, I just want the rib meat,
Yeah.
like what. So they'll eat everything. They eat the tongue, they eat the eyes, whatever. And then when you get into the Asian market, there's certain properties, like if you have a yak's tongue and you're impotent, it'll help with, I'm just making that up. So I
Yeah.
don't know
Yeah.
what it would do. I do believe there are individuals globally that are trying to that have for the longest time told the Chinese Communist Party that you're the next ones that are going to be the world power.
Mhm.
Have floated that, and China's like, yep, we're going to be the next ones. And then
Yeah.
they started pushing that narrative. And in order to get that narrative, what do you have to do? And the reason why they want China as the world power is because it's a totalitarian type of state. I mean, if
Yeah.
you know, I think it was like 275 million phone numbers in China
Mm.
during the COVID event,
Mm-hmm.
no longer worked. And at the same time that happened, and China says, oh, they retired these numbers.
Yeah.
At the same time that happened, there was reports from space they could see a big, massive fire in China. What do you
Mm-hmm.
think they were doing there?
Yeah.
They were barbecuing and making s'mores. They were
Chinese s'mores. Yeah.
they were they mass murdered like 250 million people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not saying anything that's not known about China.
No, yeah. I mean, I've heard that as well. When it hit the U.S., uh, when do you think the U.S. government itself weaponized that to spin their own narrative? Because then you got the whole lockdown. You got to wear the mask, and then you go, oh, hey, you got to take this shot. This
Um,
this vaccine.
I think the conspiracy started, the conspiring against what is the United States of America,
Hmm.
founded by our founding fathers, um, went into full action under the presidency of Bush Sr.,
Hmm.
and it's just been getting worse and worse and then
Yeah.
under the administration, it got really, really worse, and deals. That's when everything broke into these elite groups.
Yeah.
There were elites,
Yeah.
and it's always like this. There's rulers and peasants,
Yeah.
rebels and royals.
Hmm.
Think Star Wars.
Yeah.
We're all the rebel scum.
Yeah.
Seriously. And then
Yeah.
you get the 1% of 1% as the real true operators, and then they get the underlings that are presidents and vice presidents and leaders of country to do things, and then they believe the narrative that China is going to be it, and they're going to like, well, look, I'll sabotage our country, you
Yeah.
know, and for example, when O went to Russia, like, look, that like, when I'm back there, if my second term, I'll have a lot more leeway to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
Okay. And what they do is they demonize anybody that goes against their narrative.
Right. Right.
And there was a president that did, and a president that went against, everybody was shocked that he got elected. Hell, I was shocked. I remember, I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not playing politics whether you like him or not, or like, oh, he has mean tweets. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
If you look through history about what people have done to make this world a better place, I mean, I did business for this man's company,
Okay.
for and against. We repossessed his ships.
Yeah.
I literally was charged with getting the company to repossess his cruise ships.
Uh,
I'm like, do we call AAA for this? I mean, like, what the hell's, and we had a call in, there are a group of people they're like repo guys for like cruise ships and oil ships and tankers, and they will literally. So I know people work for this guy, and they weren't paid. He's a pretty big scumbag, but something happened when that man was in office, like a come to Jesus moment, a
Mm-hmm.
religious experience,
Yeah.
the same type of experience that he had, that supposedly conspiracy theory, General George Washington had, and I believe it was at Valley Forge, where he was visited by a ghost,
Mhm.
which told him, you got to be careful about X, Y, and Z. It literally told him what was going to happen. Was
Yeah.
that a time traveler? Was that God?
Yeah.
Was that X, Y, and Z? We don't know. Right.
Right. Right.
So this is what happened. And I think what happened under the O thing, he was totally, talk about the Manchurian candidate.
Hmm.
And I'm sorry. I mean, look, I could care less if he was gay, and he's still not coming out of the closet about that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, actually, although the first gay president was Abraham Lincoln,
Mm-hmm.
it's a different story. Yes, he was. So, and I don't care your sexual orientation. That's not up to me. That's your thing. You want to be married in text like the hell, like me? Yeah, go ahead. You know,
Yeah.
join the club, right? So that started it, and then they got brazen. And I think it's combination of these people that are power hungry,
Mm-hmm.
and then they got to put things in place to drive people in directions
Yeah.
for distraction purposes. Then they started playing around with, God wouldn't let this happen. So, if you get rid of God, they can do what you want. So who would let you do that? Well, the devil would let you do that,
Yeah.
Lucifer. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of them started worshiping that.
Mm-hmm.
And then under that, they started going further into we're going back into the Bible again, old things like Baphomet and
Yeah.
deities and Baal and whatever,
Yeah.
and sacrificing, because that begets you more power,
Yeah.
and then harvesting, and then trafficking. I mean, um, it's if you didn't understand how deep and wide and crazy this is on a
Mm-hmm.
conspiracy level,
Sure.
they all think you're conspiracy theorists, whatever. But if you didn't understand the complexity of this didn't happen overnight. This took tens of thousands, if not more, years to construct,
Yeah.
and they put people in the right place that were
Right.
part of tribes. And like,
Yeah.
yeah, I got you. Okay, you do it that way, and
Right.
then don't worry about it. And then they put it in every organization, and they
Gotcha.
seed everything.
Yeah.
And this is where we are right now.
Okay. Uh,
Sorry.
tell me what you know a little bit about Bohemian Grove, because I've heard some a lot of
Never
different.
liked the album. Never liked the album.
Yeah.
You
Right.
never heard,
But what do you think is going on over there with
Well, like I said, yeah, this is the bastardization of good organizations, and you have the select poison pills that go in there. So
yeah.
think of yin yang, right? With a lot of good, there's always a little evil. And with
Yeah.
a lot of evil, there's a little good.
Yeah.
That's balance.
Hmm.
And it's really interesting because they always point at, like, I'm gonna go back to Freemasonry again, because I'm tired of hearing all the crap that I hear from they're Illuminati, they're Satan worship. No one that I know of in Freemasonry worships Satan whatsoever. There is no 666 degree. Okay. And anybody that's ever said that to me, I'm like, you need to get yourself examined. Okay. There's
Yeah.
33 degrees. That's an honorary degree.
Yeah.
These people raise more money for charity and do more research for trying to find cures, whatever. I'm just telling you straight up what it is, than anybody else in the world. And there are a select few people that use some of Freemasonry's principles, and they bastardize them. Okay, one of the groups that started, it started because there were a lot of people. This has happened in university and educational settings, enlightenment settings globally initially. And it's like, well, we're the select few, so we needed to, how do I know that you know what I know? And
Yeah.
then we'll have a handshake. So they have a handshake. And then you'd meet in the back room of a pub and you discuss real stuff instead of the, oh, my wife is, whatever. And you're talking about enlightenment and have you read Galileo lately?
Yeah.
Whatever. And then you like, you realize, the king's one too. See?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then the king goes, look, I'll take care of you, my son, but I'm going to ask you for something. I need you to cut those people off. Oh, okay. So they cut the people that it's all barters, right? So
Yeah.
there's select little groups that, will look out for you, but they'll spin off from these groups and they'll bastardize it.
Yeah.
And they'll run undercover for the whole thing. And it starts with, whatever, they take the Freemasons and they do it because there's tons of Freemasons globally. But it goes back to the Knights Templar. These are the people that literally did everything Christ wanted.
Yeah.
But what happened is some of those people and Freemason that becomes Freemasonry and all the other different rights and branches off, they use their power and their affluence and influence to start looking into other things like darker arts.
Mm.
Aleister Crowley is one of them. They
Okay.
started looking into rituals that were told, do not do these. So then they go into the Kabbalah,
Mhm.
and they look at old school rituals and magic that they're not allowed to practice. No one is except for the high priests, which
Yeah.
deal with God directly. And they take those information and they started doing it. Then they realized that, well, we get a lot of results if we start praying to Lucifer or blah, 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 blah,
Mm.
this demon or that demon, whatever. And they promise it. And then once the demon influence comes in and they say, well, I need more children.
Mhm.
And then you get people and children. And then there's no God in there. There is no sin in these things. And these are little fringe groups off of them. No God, no sin. And they have their own network because they're within, you'll convert other people to go within it. And one area, then you go to the next area. And that's how it spreads. It's like a cancer. And this is how it all happens.
Yeah.
And then before you know it, they're trafficking children on a daily basis. They're trying to literally traffic women, men, men, boys and girls, women on a daily basis. I will give you a perfect example. It is
Mhm.
so lucrative for them to traffic a female. There's so much money to be made in one female that they will be as brazen as you would ever expect. My wife has a friend she's not skinny, she's not thin. She's got chicken legs, but she's got a big midsection. Okay,
Sure. Sure.
and she's not like huge or anything like that, but she's a big girl. She parked in this one area away from everybody, and somebody parked right next to her, really tight. Like, what the hell is this? But it's up in New York in a nice area.
Mhm.
So as she's going to her car, this other guy is like, she said she saw him. He's watching her, and he's kind of like pointing, and she's like, she's not really paying attention to it. She's just trying to sneak into her car. And then as she opened the door, the following took place. One guy came around from the back, went to grab her. The other guy rolled out from under her car and went to grab her. And this guy dropped everything that was and started running over. And 3 other people saw him do it. And they
Mhm.
were like, why'd you do that? I said, I saw the guy underneath your car. So he came running over.
Yeah.
He tried to abduct this woman in broad daylight.
Yeah.
This is what's
Yeah.
going on now.
Yeah.
All the bets are off. All those people, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Everything that people have said you're a conspiracy theorist about has been proven to be true. It's not a conspiracy.
Mhm.
Something is a conspiracy. It's like an idea and a concept that you can't prove. You can
Right.
prove all. You can prove all of it. I studied enough about lasers, technology, and physics and astrophysics to tell you that lasers have always been created. Well, first of all the university level stuff that produces all this stuff is paid for by the government, which is
Mhm.
paid for by the military industrial complex.
Yeah.
Do you understand? People control it. There are certain situations where the president has a certain clearance. There are people that have higher clearance than the president of the United States.
Yeah.
And it's then compartmentalized for reasons, certain reasons, which is
Sure.
pretty sick. Okay.
Mhm. Of
Plausible deniability.
course.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, sir, it's plausible deniability. You didn't need to know. To a point where the president can go to like one of the top secret bases that's here, whatever it is. And I'm the president of the United States. We don't care.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you right to your face. And these people have access to these weapons. And these people at technology. We have technology called
Yep.
HARP, Thor, and Hammer.
Okay.
They're weather manipulations, ionosphere manipulations, energy manipulations.
Yeah.
We have the ability. I did an article for Outer Limits magazine when the solar observatories went down in like I forgot what date it was, 2018. All these observatories around the world shut down. We have the ability using HARP, Thor, and Hammer. Here's where we're going to get strange. We can draw energy from the sun, literally pull it out of the sun, creating a sunspot, which we did once, and direct it at will to wherever we want and shift the energy to it.
Okay.
That can just literally melt continents, create tsunamis, create earthquakes, create tidal waves. Okay. This is through direct energy weapons and microwave technology. And I'll say it because I have somebody that's on a couple of sites. Oh, it's blue laser, it's all BS. You can burn through blue lasers. He's taking a non-industrial strength laser that is just public access, and he's shining it on a blue trash can and a black thing. Yeah, you're actually using a blue laser to shine onto whatever, and it's usually like a purple blue laser, and there's a certain wavelength for it. Okay. Government-based stuff is every wavelength, and you can program the lasers. This has been in place since for 20 years now. You can program a laser to avoid a certain frequency range.
Sure.
And color relates to frequency. So you could literally type in anything that's blue, which seemed to happen, and its hertz is 6.66. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
The frequency of blue is 6.66. You understand the number? Well, there's a range to it, but it basically the common is 6.66 hertz. Yeah. You can dial that in and say avoid everything that's that color blue or within a certain spectrum, and it'll burn everything that's not within that color. And they can get so specific, it's beyond belief how like tiny you can get.
Yeah.
Like a laser engraving, right? Everything you've been telling about what's going on in Maui. I've been to Maui, I've been to Lahaina. It is, oh my God, it was such a beautiful place. We did that honeymoon there, and it was so beautiful. And everything that was there that we loved and which is gone.
Yeah.
And these people, I think they made a big mistake messing with the Hawaiians.
Yeah.
Because they forgot, they thought that the Hawaiians are just impoverished individuals. They're not. They're warriors. They come from warring blood. And on top of that, they're cannibals. Not all of them. They were at one point.
Okay.
You messed with the wrong island.
Yeah.
Now, if you went to Long Island, you'd get the subservient. I think this is going to be the Archduke Ferdinand of the next, like of the people waking up, because all I keep seeing now is people that formerly weren't like, oh, it's all conspiracy theory. Like, what the hell's going on with the blue stuff?
Yeah.
And they're waking up to it. And that's the worst fear. Like I said, that these people who are really in charge, and it's a very small group, want, because you don't understand, if they can do what they've done to California, British Columbia, Ontario, Canada, Hawaii, and wherever, all around the world right now, and start these fires. There's a guy named Dutch Sense who does earthquakes and stuff. He's great. He caught this live on film. All these equally spaced fires starting at once, like within seconds of each other.
Whoa.
That is not how nature works.
No.
And people are waking up to it, and people are questioning it. And the conspiracy theory that you're a conspiracy theorist. It's not.
Yeah.
And and what's really upsetting is I'm a parent. What's upsetting is there are so many people that believe the narrative, which is how conspiracy theories start.
Yeah.
that they sat in their car and they chose, instead of the natural instinct to flee and go, they sat there and they died. They got burned to death
Yeah.
without doing anything. Right.
Yeah.
So if being a conspiracy theory saves one life,
Yeah.
that's fine. Call me a conspiracy theorist. Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So yeah, sorry about that. A
No,
little bit of a
no, no. That was actually my next question was the situation in Hawaii because
it's not going to end. It's going because I didn't mean to interrupt you.
no,
It's
no.
there's a lot more going to take place. Hopefully, people are getting wiser and they're now questioning it, and these people don't know
Yeah.
how to handle
You see, the cool thing is I can shut up and let you go because literally you move from the question I was going to ask now to the new question I'm going to ask, and that is, do
it.
you know or have any information about what's coming down the pike here in the near future?
um, I mean, I do remote viewing, and
Hmm.
actually, I've been this past 4 days, I've been using a lot of it. I help. I got a call, actually a message on Friday night.
Hmm.
This the long weekend, Labor
Yeah,
Day.
yeah,
Someone I know I'm friendly with, but not as friendly with, and like, hey, can you, do you do remote viewing? I'm like, yep. I'm like, yeah. Like, how'd you know that type of thing? And I knew a friend of mine, mutual friend, put me into into that position because I got the image of her at one point, so I knew
yeah,
she was involved in it. Well, I need help with this. And we started going, and she was in her sister's house, and I started doing this whole remote view. And I've been doing it from that weekend forward. And actually had a little bit more, I had sidebars from it. So I helped her with their problem. But what I like to do is I used remote viewing and to I do it every August. And I try to give me 0 to 18 months from now.
okay,
What's gonna happen?
okay,
People are like, oh, it's a prediction. I'm like, it is a prediction to a certain degree, but you're using, again, we have an ability using your third eye and your consciousness to tap into the ether, the source information, Kosh record, if you want, all where everything past, present, future are happening at once, and to see what's going to happen, what's coming forward. So
mm,
I have a bunch of things that I do have that are I wrote out. I mean, it's my first. It was my first run at it. I haven't been able to take another run at it
yeah,
because so many different things have happened in this little time period. But I believe that you're going to see a lot of earth changes,
yeah,
specifically and some of this I feel is a little bit more further down the road than 18 months, 0 to 18 months. But the starting point, it may be happening in 0 to 18 months. I think you're going to see the Great Lakes merge.
okay,
There is, yes, the Great Lakes will merge, and it's going to be one giant um lake for but then it's going to continue eventually down the Mississippi and reverse the Mississippi.
yeah,
This is what I've seen. Um, you also have to understand that there's a volcano under the Great Lakes. There's a huge super volcano in it. And speaking of which, so that may help to, you know, mess with the actual soil, have a drop down, and then there's your giant lake. I think Yellowstone's going to be a problem, and I see it just undulating, like pulsating, like it's ready to blow. I hope it doesn't, because anybody to the right of Yellowstone, we're in
yeah,
trouble.
yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah. I still I still see tsunamis hitting the West Coast, and you're not gonna like it. It's gonna go from a little bit of Mexico all the way up to the north into
yeah,
Canada, and
yeah,
it's like day after tomorrow tsunami.
gotcha.
Um,
Well, see that's not really good to know for me because I'm in Oregon.
yeah, I know, but
Yeah,
How close how close are you to Canadian border?
About 5 hours.
5 hours? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're gonna have a problem.
yeah, yeah.
So are you west or are you like where are you in Oregon? Are you east, like the southeast portion?
No, no, I'm in
Dead center.
the western part. I'm just west of Portland, Oregon.
Jesus. Do you know anybody that has a helicopter or knows how to fly one?
Well, we do have the Hillsborough Airport here, not too far away. I
Well,
I may
get
want
in
to.
that thing and bring us up.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah, it's gonna be interesting for you.
Yeah.
Um, some of the other things I see, Russia being totally victorious. They're gonna take the kid gloves off, and then a lot of truth is gonna come out from that.
Mhm.
United States, there's gonna be this is gonna be very interesting. The Congress, the Senate, they're gonna be locked out, and a lot of people are gonna be arrested, and it's gonna
Really?
shock
Okay.
a lot of people. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
that's
Um,
interesting. Did you see who could be the next president? Because as we're now moving into the
I'm gonna
presidential.
yeah. I get a vibe on something else I've written. I do believe 45 may be coming in as 47.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Trump.
Yeah.
If it's something I see him as in a victory, and it kind of feels like a president, but what kind of president is it? Is it president of the United States of America, the
Uh,
corporation, or supposedly, there's a lot of conspiracy theories that he's actually the 19th president of the United States.
mhm.
That's not the corporate. It's a Nasara, and there's so much craziness. I'm like, all right, guys,
Yeah.
back it up. You've been talking this crap for 5, 6 years already.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I can tell you that um people are fed up,
Yeah. Oh, yeah,
and
you can most definitely tell that.
and
Uh,
and I know people that are diehard Democrats. I'm not a Democrat. Actually, I was registered as a Democrat in New York when there was a Democratic Party.
mhm.
'Cause I think that doesn't exist anymore. I don't think any of the parties exist anymore technically, and what they were
Yeah.
guised under. It's the same wing. It's different wings of the same bird. And and then down here, I think I went independent because I'd class myself as libertarian,
Okay.
which is government, you leave me the hell alone, you'll get a
Yeah.
little taste, and then I get to live my life.
Right.
But basically what it's a Jeffersonian liberal, and that's what we try to create here
Yeah.
in the Republic,
Yeah.
you know. So, but I think he's there. Um, I mean, there's some other things, and I've been saying this for 3 years. I there was one spot where I kind of came back and I'm like, I'm in the US, right? And I saw everybody like hanging out in the marketplace, and everybody had long rifles over their shoulders, and everybody's talking, and they're buying bread, and they're walking, oh, hi, how are you? And I'm
Mhm.
like, everybody has a gun here, firearm. I go, this got to be Israel because I've seen that before in Israel.
Sure. Sure.
People
Sure.
walking around with the rifles on, whatever.
Hmm.
And then no, I dig a little bit further. It's the US. It's all over the US. And I'm like, what's going on? And then I'm able to drill down because I get a little bit more information. And apparently what happened is in this, what I saw, um, if you're 18 years or older, it is a law that you have a firearm on you 24/7
Hmm.
because we the people will not be taking any crap anymore. If you're a criminal and you try to steal a car, you're going to be executed right then and there. We're going to get done with you. We're not going to rehabilitate you. We're done. We're
Okay.
not allowing what has taken place, the
Yeah.
lies, the cheating, the stealing anymore.
Okay.
And everybody's put on notice. And it's
Yeah.
throughout the world. It's throughout this country. This is going to be the revolution that starts the revolution again. This is how it was actually after the revolution.
Yeah.
People still
Yeah.
had guns on, and
Yeah.
no one was afraid of them. And there's going to be none of this, you know, crazy, whiny, blah, blah, blah. No, it's almost like Welcome to adulthood, kids. Okay, we're not taking your crap.
Mhm.
No, like I have rights. No, shut up. It's a totally different thing, because here's the problem we had in this, and then it was kind of explained to me. When you aren't forced to fight for your freedom and your rights, you get complacent and you're giving up things that so many men, women, children, and even animals died for.
Mhm.
And we will not allow that ever again. And
Yeah.
that's what was taking place. So, and it's really weird because I've said this for the last 3 or 4 years, and I post it. I missed last year a little bit. I have it written down, but I post it and I always get crap. I mean, my buddy Al's like, "Oh, you said there was going to be an asteroid." And I'm like, "Al, I did not. I said there's potential for whatever."
Sure.
So, but what I'm seeing now is I'm seeing it all over this country, that men and women are literally standing in front of some businesses with rifles on their shoulders, and they're fighting to protect their businesses.
Mhm.
And that little thing is going to spill over into, don't come in my neighborhood, sell drugs. Boom.
Yeah.
We're not, people will not be tolerating it anymore. Oh, you're on the take. Boom. We're not going to waste time in court. Oh, this judge is lied there. Boom. It's going to be like that.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is it's people going to know, don't screw around here.
Right.
Yeah, we can have fun, we can laughter, but if you try to screw around and hurt anybody that's here, we're not going to let you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know it's a little bit harsh, like, well, it was just stealing. People won't be hungry, people will be fed, you have responsibilities. No, no one owes you anything.
Mhm. Yeah.
You'll get a job, you'll work. And the world seemed to be, when I saw this, everybody was happy.
Okay.
They were
Yeah.
very, very happy
Yeah.
because everybody's on the same playing field and no one's dictating to anybody.
Gotcha.
There's
Okay.
no master slave relationship.
You're right. Yeah. Okay.
And it's almost like we're all owners. So
Okay.
that's
Yeah, the last area I want to move into is we touched on it earlier, but I want to drill deep more on this, and that
sure.
is have you seen or even foreshadowing of Revelations? What we term Revelations or the end times.
No, you know what? I don't see it as revelations.
Yeah.
I see earth changes. Um, and I see a lot of earth changes, but that's part of, in my case, it's earth cycles.
Hmm.
And so the earth, okay,
Yeah.
so every 26,000 to 27,000 years, the earth kind of changes its axis, things get screwy, ice caps melt, but then they regroup elsewhere. More magnetic north goes. And these are events that take place about every 26,000, 27,000 years.
Yeah.
And they could be life ending for the earth, extinction events, because it's a dramatic change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and we're not used to it, and it's fairly quick in comparison of what really, how like things are supposed to take place. Sorry, I have an itch by my nose.
No, it's
Sorry, I
all.
mean, so I see a lot of these catastrophic events taking place, and because that I see perversion of individuals using that as under the guise, we're sinners. See, we're sinning.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the last scene in I love using the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
Moses is up. He's at the top of the mountain, talking to God for like months,
Hmm.
and then you always get that one guy. See, he doesn't care about you. Now let's build a golden calf, and
Right.
there's a G. Robinson, and they're building a golden calf.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Moses comes down like, what the F is going on here?
Yeah.
Boom. That's what I think. I think you're gonna get people trying to do that type of stuff. And I think you're going to get people who are still trying to cling on to the old elite sub, whatever. And
Yeah.
you may have some events that were going to truly wipe out this world. There may be some things, but I'm going to tell you something, and it's really weird. I have no desire to die. I don't want to die. I don't want anything to happen to my children, nothing. And for those people, like, I'm not suicidal. I always say that I'm not suicidal. I'm not. I have no, whatever. I just moved. I have a nice place. I want to live here for a while, without any problems. But I do know something, that if you make peace with God and you understand God and how it works, and you're a good person and a good soul, okay, there is a place for you. And this whole shell is exactly what it is. It's a shell.
Yeah.
I don't want to use a Star Warsism, but it's the best way to describe it is, for a lot of people that maybe understood, like, what the hell is he talking about? When Anakin Skywalker, well, actually, Obi-Wan Kenobi said, "You can strike me down, Darth, but I'll just only grow stronger."
Yeah.
He's 100% correct. And that happens to you. They can take you out and they can kill you. But your true power comes when you lose this inhibitance called a shell.
Right. Right.
And if you're a good soul, you're going to go back into the source, God. And of course, depending on where you are, there's different layers of heaven. And if you're really not a nice person, but you didn't kill anybody or intentionally, like whatever,
Sure.
I don't make decisions for God, but you'll be put in a certain spot. And then you go through what I call the orientation process. And they teach you like this is where you screwed up. This is your review. Remember this. And they teach you this is what's going to happen. You're going to be here for X amount of time until you figure it out. And then if you want to speed it up, we can let you reincarnate. You're going to go back down, or you can just stay here and become, at this level.
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. And that's what happens. There are people in heaven that also, souls in heaven that also don't do the right thing. So there's some people, they can't interfere with your life. They know what's going to happen right now to you tomorrow, the very second, past, present, and future. So I had a heart attack in March. Everybody knew. Everybody who's passed over knew I was going to have a heart attack. They saw everything past, present, and future well in advance of it. Okay? You know everything. And they're not allowed to intervene and kind of stop you or stop it from taking place, because that's what God's will.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that when you start praying and when you have a communication with other souls that are up there, family members, some of them go, "That's my son," and they'll do something. Well, that's my nephew, or that's this, and they'll interfere. What's the worst that happened? They spend a little bit more time on that plane.
Gotcha.
And that's what happens. So I know you want to be here and you want to see life and whatever it is, but and by all means, please stay here. Lose, drink properly and lose weight and whatever.
Sure.
But as long as you make peace with God, you're going to be fine. It's the ones that really have to fear, like the ones that were like pedophile priests or criminals or murderers or ex-murderers, not killers, and not people that kill, because God gave you, this is where the people screw up. In the commandments, it's not that thou shalt not kill,
Thou shalt not murder.
Murder.
Yeah.
Big difference. God gives you a right to self-preservation. But if you intentionally go out and say, "I'm going to get that one," like a retribution, then you've just violated whatever. So if you're bad, you're going to go down there, and there's different levels. So if you really think you're a badass, wait until you meet some of the talent they have. Okay.
Yeah.
Because each end of the spectrum has talent. And I believe there are people on this planet like that. I don't know. There's something heavenly about people, and like they're connected. I mean, I see your lightning bolts behind you, and like I really want to go by the power of great. No, I'm joking. Always a great. I've always used that like when something's like really going down, and like, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna get out of here? I'm like, I just pulled my fork up. I'm like, by the power of Greystoke. And they're like,
Right.
stop it.
Right. Yeah.
But I just do think that some people are sent by angels. And that's why you have guardian angels and spirit guides. And so just try to do the right thing, stand up for people, instead of being pissed off. And I know it's really difficult to do it. Start telling people, my daughter does this all the time. I love your earrings. Oh my God, thank you. She
Yeah.
picked something. She's not doing it to get off on you. Like she's 11 years old.
Yeah.
She genuinely likes it, but she likes to compliment people always.
Yep.
And that changes a conversation. Like when someone's really, well, sir, we can't go, love your nails. Like, oh, thank you so much. You know what? That stuff is right over there in the corner.
Right. Right.
How quickly it happens. And
Right.
if everybody started doing it, I'll tell you what, when I go to the store, the most expensive grocery store in the world is Publix. Because I'm in Florida. And you go there and, Bridget and Kim are there helping you. Do you get everything that you said? Yes. Thank you very much for your help, Bridget. You and Kim have a blessed day. And I
Yeah.
walk out. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
It took you 2 seconds. I know we all have bad days. Trust me. I'm married. We all have bad days.
Yeah.
Okay. The only person who was happy to see me when I got into my house is when he was alive was my dog. Okay. I know what it's like. Your kids aren't even going to love you like that. Okay. But you know what? My wife goes, why do you do all these, what you said, the nice things, and you're talking to all these people. And I talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And I said, honey, because that one day when Frank goes ballistic and starts shooting up the place and he turns that gun to me, you're going to go, no, Brian said hello to me today. And the next person next to me is going to get it.
Right.
That'd be you, honey. So you may want to start saying hello to Frank now. But this is my point. If we start being nicer to people, helping them, we don't have to buy them fucking lunch every day and support them for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, hey, break a leg on that interview. Oh, you remembered? Yeah, I did. Break a leg.
Yeah.
And you're nice to people. They're going to be people who are going to take advantage of you. But after a while, when people realize that guy's the taking advantage of person, he's not going to have any respect from anybody.
Sure. Yeah.
And then the world's going to get better.
Right.
And then and then the community gets better. And then everything gets better. And
I totally agree. Yeah.
And then you wake up and there's no more conspiracy theories because everybody's in it for the same reason.
Yeah. 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 I taught my kids that too as they've grown up, that, being nice to someone costs nothing, and they do. I mean, and also I talk to everyone too. I call myself a yenta. I call myself a yenta. Because I'll just sit there and talk to them. But if you do it for the right reasons, like you're just genuinely interested in somebody and you be nice to them, I mean, that always pays dividends.
I don't know what it is. Yeah, like there's a couple of times I really don't know what it is. I'm trying to explain it to people. And because I've heard about this getting into the paranormal side of things, sometimes abductees have an experience. People that have said that they were abducted by aliens, whatever it is, they're like, they see people that are familiar to them and they like, how do I know this person? I know this, and people look at them as if they're known. It's really a weird thing. But there have been times when I walk out and I don't think, I mean, like, I'm not like super dressed to the nines or whatever, but I make sure, look, all right, although my wife will complain about everything I dress in, but I've had times when I've walked around and people just stare at me like I have idiot on my forehead. And I'm like, do I have something on my face? I've noticed that people are just, they're taking it, paying attention to me. And I'm like, okay, do I like I walked out with like, a hand stuck to my head and everybody's like, no, you look fine. What's going on? I'm like, it's just weird.
Yeah.
But, being nice to people, I knew somebody who was waiting in line in the grocery store, and this woman in front of him was having a hard time, and the kid was there, and it was taking his time, and he looked really terrible. She said, he looked really upset. And then he went through my thing, and then he had an issue, and she had all her stuff up on the counter, and the kid broke down. and people like, just constantly harass him, like, come on, move it. Come on, we're not here all day. And the kid's just, he's really slow and he stops every few seconds and he's not going through the product and he just starts crying. So my friend goes, are you all right? He goes, no, I'm not. My dad died just now. And they wouldn't let me off work. So I had to come into work.
Wow.
And I just came into work and I don't know what to do. And this guy's yelling at this person. And my friend's like, not that she's a type of lady. It's like she can be a lady and then she can lock your ass up. And she turned around and she screamed and she totally. Now some people were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Embarrassed by themselves. And other people don't give a damn. And those are the people going to have a hard time when they transition from here to the next life.
I agree. I've always said the worst thing that people can be is indifferent, because if you love somebody, you love somebody. If you hate someone, you have the propensity to have it turn into love. But when you just legitimately are indifferent, you don't care. That's a hard place to come back from.
Yeah, it's you know what? It's kind of like in New York, I had someone was explaining some things to me because I have a lot of family in law enforcement and I knew people or whatever hanging out. And it's one thing for someone like they were talking about, I think it was serial killings or something like that. I always had found an interest in them because they're so intelligent. It's really weird how they operate, but they're very, very smart. And but we was talking about different things and not the way that they they kill people, whatever, but it's easy to take a gun out and shoot somebody. Very easy to do it. Believe it or not, it's really, really easy. And the law enforcement aren't really worried. They don't like people with guns because it's easy to do, right? The ones that really scare the crap out of them are the guys, men and women, that take knives because you got to get up personal.
Right.
And those are the ones you got to watch out for.
Right.
And so it's really weird. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even when you get enlightened, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think of it that way.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, because it's great to shake someone's hand, but to give somebody a hug, totally different.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally agree.
So
hey,
I just
go ahead.
No, I mean, like, I know we've been talking a lot about conspiracy theories, and there's so many of them. And all I'm going to say is this, and I stopped really publicly talking about it because you never hear the end of it, or I'm in Facebook jail and everybody goes like, first time there. I'm like, mention my name, you'll get a good seat.
Yeah.
Our buddy Al is like, he's always in jail. Now he's in jail worse than me. I've been pretty good so far. I'm sure I'm due. Don't just say, oh, it's a conspiracy theory. There are facts that support that theory. And I'm begging you, in this day and age, this is not like something that you can just walk away from. You need to start really doing more research, not just mainstream media. You got to go to other sources. And you got to start talking to other people. And if you have all those people a foot down, like, I'm on the right, I'm on the left, those aren't the people you should be talking to. You should actually have a little bit of conversation with them. You want the people that can weave in and out, because these are the ones that are looking at what's really going on, and they're going to give you an objective opinion and information. But don't just think because they're conspiracy theorists, they're all crazy and lunatics. They're not. This day and age, there's so many facts backing it up. And once you get into it and you realize, take a theory and you realize what's going on there, and you can realize like they're lying to us. Once that happens, you'll never look at any other conspiracy theory the same way.
Right. Totally agree. Hey, Sir Bryan, it's been awesome talking to you. We've only covered just a very smidgen of really what I want to talk about. If you don't mind, sometime in the future, I'd like to get you on again.
Yes, if we can talk about something other than conspiracy theories,
Yeah,
but we'll
yeah,
roll, man.
not
Yeah,
a problem. I've got a whole wide range of
rock and
subjects
roll.
and stuff that we can yak about. But thank you so much for coming on. It has been one hell of a ride, and believe it or
That
not,
is.
I've learned a lot. So I thank you, sir.
Yep, I appreciate it, and I thank you very much for having me on. And I'm going to thank Al for hooking me up with you that a couple. It's not even that long ago,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, is he getting me back for all the times I hooked him up? So, but it was great, and yeah, you know, always do your research, folks.
All right.
Don't just take anybody's word for it. I'm just going from my information pool. Get
Excellent.
your own.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
Man, that was a good interview. I'm sure we're going to have him on again and again and again and again. All right, folks, we got some exciting news. We're going to be doing some live streaming very soon. In fact, it's imminent up on YouTube. Stay tuned for that coming very soon. We're also going to be doing some live radio shows on a streaming server. That is also imminent. We're talking like within the next week. And as always, we have our voicemail. You can call us at 971-205-2464. Again, 971-205-2464. And hey, don't leave any bad language and stuff. I don't want to have to send you to the corner and you not get your graham crackers and grape juice. All right, you can also email us at midnightalchemyshow@gmail.com. That is midnightalchemyshow@gmail.com. All right, kiddies, that's all we got for this week as we ride off into the sunset. Stay tuned and tune in next time for Midnight Alchemy. This is Jason Allen. Take care of each other and yourself, and a Reaver Dare show.